Um, in my journey, when it started, I started at a very low point, but I managed to work my way up. So you need time, you have to focus. You have to be willing to go an extra mile just to make things happen, all right? The other thing, also learning every day. Make a point that each and every day there is something that you have learned. There are some, Mr. Dia, do you still do those tours where the students go out on everything?
Yeah, slowed down a bit during COVID.
During COVID?
Again, yeah.
Okay, that's a great thing. Because on those tours I have met with big guys in the industry, and I was lucky enough to work with the one who has retired now, Jeff Nichols. And for me, it was an honor to have worked with him, a well-known person in the industry, and to have him to say, like, Sanele, when you are applying, when you are there, and you are in need for a job, make sure that you put me as one of your references. I will vouch in for you. But that doesn't come because of me being there. I work hard. I ask questions. Each and every day, even if I'm not given an assignment, I will provide myself with something. Let me just do the research. In my times with Jeff Nichols, I know I was meeting him on every Tuesday at Zimbali Eco Estate, where he was consulting, and I was working in the company that was doing the landscape maintenance there. So on a Tuesday, we will do that work, and then when the work is done, I will be going there, having my list of questions. And he was kind enough to attend to me, listen to me, give me all the answers, prescribe me the books. This is the book you don't have to hesitate into buying the books. I've got a whole load of my library in my room because you need to reference from them every single day. Every single day you need to reference from the books. And now in the industry, there's a lot of things that you need to take into consideration. There are opportunities in my company that we offer to all our employees. You can continue to study. I have studied until I said, I need a break just for now. I need to focus on the business. So I'm recruiting more of my employees to just come onto the board. But I don't just take anyone. You should show, that oomph that you want to learn more, that you want to learn more. I'm also doing the internal training. I'm a qualified PCO as well, which as horticulturists you definitely need to have. So I'm also, okay, it's a pest control officer. So every landscape, I would say every horticulturist need to have that pest control officer. It's one that goes hand in hand, because in your landscape you use your chemicals. You should know all your chemicals, how to use them, and all the safety that goes with it. So it is there. I'm training people. I'm always there to assist people. Mr. Duran said I am the boss. I feel like that boss word tends to be a little bit off. I'd like to describe myself as a leader. I work well with my team. And we are just a small company that I'm not too far on top of the ladder. I'm just down with all my employees, because I believe that all my employees comes first. There is never a business without my employees, so I need to keep them all good and in good shape all the time, so that we are able to perform and give out the standard that we want to give to our clients. Each and every time you need to go an extra mile. So in our industry, it's, the competition is tight. If you can say to me, like, I'm working from 7 to 4, and that is what I'm going to give you, you are not going anywhere. So this thing of working like over hours, it started, that is how I was able to work my way out. Like on my spare time, I will do all the research. There is a pest that I don't know what is happening. I don't know how to advise my client what is happening there, because some they are nocturnal, some they are diurnal, especially the ones that are nocturnal, they are active at night. So you will see the problems only, like the leaf has been eaten, but you don't know exactly what is it that you need to treat. So on my spare time, I will do the research, get the information, call out the people you know in the industry, call on your suppliers. They will always give you that information. Then you need to bring that like to the table. If you don't want to work an extra hour, what is it that you can achieve with your limited time? The work of the horticulturist, you need to plan your day a day before. You don't come like in the morning and say, this is what, it is impossible. You plan your day. So like on my Sunday, I've got some hours to plan, actually for the whole week. I have to plan for the whole week. Under my portfolio, I am running about 20 sites. Just imagine how am I going to plan, like when I come to work at 7 o'clock, and I have to plan for these, each individual site. Each site is specific to the needs and all the activities that needs to be done. Some of these sites, they require just the normal maintenance. Some of these sites, we're dealing with the AIS. Some of them, it's just the brush cutting. So there is quite a lot of things. So you need time to plan all your things as what you need to be done for the entire week, just to make sure that everything goes in order. If I may ask, do you all guys have the driver's license? Driver's license. I think you should look into getting it. On my first employment, I was employed because I had the driver's license. We are traveling a lot. We are traveling a lot. So once you get there in the field, I'm willing to give you a car and just you run your way. You just show me what you're made of. I'm not hiring you and your driver. Okay? Make sure that is another qualification that you should have next to your diploma. Because this landscaping thing requires a lot of traveling. It requires a lot of traveling. And even your passport. Because what you have to, you say in your mind, it's just only the sky is the limit. We have had the guys, one of my mates, who have been working overseas. If they have done it, what will stop you? Next year, I'm set to go to Harare. Because we have done a beautiful, here in Izinga, the latest Saint Church, which we have done beautifully, and we have won Sally Awards for it. So now, with the work we have done here, they have asked us to join them in Harare. And the other thing that you should take into consideration is communication and making relationships with the people you work with. communicate. Always be willing to give the advice as to what you know. Just go that extra mile. When you come to site, I always tell my students, like, here's your site. Try by all means to know each and every plant that is on that site. Get to know their growing habits. For in case it is not doing well, you are able to advise the client. Because I believe like you being proactive will get you the long way. I have seen it, it has worked for me where I got the client. It was the case that the client will just tell the landscaper, I want this tree. Or maybe coming with the picture and say like, I love this tree. Can you please purchase it and plant it for me? That is where horticulturists, you need to come in and say, yes, this tree does well in a cold environment. It won't work here in Durban. Just try to put a little bit of advice. That is more like an added extra. So at some point you are like a consultant, just giving your clients more knowledge of what they don't know. Some of them, they don't know even where, when, and how to do all the tasks that need to be done as a horticulturist. The likes of your spring treatment, when to do the spring treatment. Why are we composting? Why are we mulching? You need to have a communication with your client. Give them advice. Just show them that you know what you're doing. Let them know what you're doing. You are not just a horticulturist who's kind of saying, yes, oh yes, you want me to do this, yes, I'm doing this, yes, you want to do this. We have come across the instances when the landscape architect will give us the drawing, this is a tree we wanted here. Yes, they are doing all the planning before the building is up. So I'm the last person on site where I'm able to see, okay, this wall is high. This tree doesn't like the shade. This area is damp. I've got all that power to go back to the landscape architect. Can we please have a little look at this? Because I don't feel, it doesn't look like this plant will be able to work on this area. So communication is part of getting you up there and yeah.
Okay, good afternoon, folks. Welcome to Thursday afternoon session. It's my pleasure to introduce to you Mr. Warren Horsley. Warren is a technical Natal old boy, which means we all pass through the same system of learning, just like you're learning now. Warren specialized in landscape technology.
97.
And then he was a course at the time. And he's currently working as the estate manager for Mount Edgecombe. Mount Edgecombe, one of the biggest gated housing estates in Durban. The longest, probably the oldest, isn't it?
Probably the oldest, yeah.
The oldest.
Yeah.
The oldest, and he'll probably tell you the best. And Warren is going to explain part of his job, how he manages contractors, how he manages clients, how he keeps the whole operation running smoothly. All right, so please take good notes. Warren, over to you.
Okay, thank you. Sanibona molweni. Ngizokhuluma isiZulu. Hey. Thanks for the intro, Dr. Foley. I put together a little bit of a PowerPoint. I thought afternoon sessions, everyone's going to start eyes going down. So I'll basically run over a little introduction in terms of who I am, my experience or training and profession, how many years I've been in the industry and the likes, and then we'll get on to the Mount Edgecombe estate. Currently I run, a little bit about me. Fantastic little creatures, ladybirds. All right, don't forget about that. But I've been in the industry for 45 years now. 25 years, sorry. Graduated in 1997, National Diploma in Landscape Technology. Not available anymore.
No,
Landscape
it's
technology.
been superseded by the new diploma in sustainable water.
Okay, all right. So how I got into it is that I've always liked geography, I've always liked nature, and I've always liked art. So landscape design is a combination of putting art together with nature. And it's quite nice because you can paint your picture per se in terms of your landscape and watch it grow. So it's like not something like an art piece where you finish painting and then it always looks the same. Landscaping always evolves and it always changes. Started working at a retail nursery in 1994 when I was still a student, and basically did my prac year there. Joined a company called Idube Landscaping when it was first formed by Jonathan Lawrence. I actually met him at the nursery and joined him. So it was quite nice being part of that startup, and worked there for quite a few years, 10 odd years. And then I joined Leach Landscapes in 2004 as a nursery manager. And there I established the wholesale nursery and grass farm, worked there for 2 years. We supplied most of the plants for the Zimbali contract or the extension work there. It was quite fun. And also sold instant lawn. 2010, I was given an opportunity to come across to Estate 2 to look after the landscape and environmental portfolio. And then in early 2019, I stepped into the position of general manager. And I worked overseeing numerous contracts from North Coast, Felixton side, all the way down to South Coast. Wild Coast Sun was one of my contracts down the South Coast. I joined Mekama in the 7th of December 2020, although I'd been working on site for quite a few years, but now I've joined Maneshcombe Country Club Management Association on a full-time basis. Work experience. Landscape design, as I said, is my passion. Plan drawing, installation, both commercial and residential. Been involved in some nice large tree, palm and cycad planting. When I was still a student at Technikon, I did the RCC in Durban. We brought in those big baobabs from Zanin. It was quite fun. My boss used to just leave me on site. I had to problem solve. He'd come back in the afternoon and he'd tell me whether the okay, I better not swear. He would tell me whether the work is bad or whether it's good. If it was bad, I'd have to work extra hours and redo it. So it was quite a, sometimes you learn to swim by being thrown into the deep end. That's how I learned a lot of the do's and don'ts. Got into landscape maintenance, also commercial, residential, various office parks, various gardens. So we ran quite a successful garden maintenance division. Was involved in greenbelt planting and environmental rehab, wholesale nursery establishments, environmental management, which is alien weed control and the likes, which I'm sure you're all familiar with, and basically designing maintenance policies, systems, and program developments. With labor management, been involved in staff training, wage negotiation, disciplinary hearings, which you will get to come to know when you're in the working industry. Not nice, but parcel of the work that we do. Previous sites, those are the sites that I've done, like I've mentioned, RCC and surrounds, all the palms and big trees, Sandomir Estate, and various KZN campuses. I used to also do KZN, the Durban one as well. And obviously involved in Zimbali Coastal Estates and various projects around Izinga. Okay, Maneshcombe Club, Country Club. We are a SALI associate member, and I think it's a fantastic initiative, and I'm really encouraging other states to also be SALI associated members. Why we want to boost up SALI is because it's the only organization, or should I say institute, for landscapers. So if we build up SALI and we build it up and we're able to provide more feedback, more input to landscapers, we build our industry, we make our industry stronger. On the estate we have various wildlife as well, bushbuck, impala, blue duiker, mongoose, water monitor lizards, and about 295 different bird species, which is fantastic. Estate 1 is a small estate. That's the oldest estate, 28, 29 years old. It's 105 hectares, 281 homes. It's currently registering as a conservancy. And the site consists mainly of exotic plant material, which is in private gardens and common areas. The old Tongat Hewlett's plant material used to be a Califa pink sport, crotons, a real exotic landscape. Indigenous material, when I was at the nursery and started in my early landscape days, you battled to find indigenous plants. It was a small little section of the nursery. Now I'm glad to see that it's taken up, you know, a lot more interest and dominance in nursery supply and in landscaping. Why do we want to use plants from overseas predominantly when we've got such beautiful plants from South Africa? Local is lacquer. Estate 2, bigger sites, more or less double the size, 213 hectares, 900 homes. It is a registered conservancy. It has been since 2001, and there's a lot more indigenous planting. And even within our plant palette, we allow 30% exotics. So there is always room for exotics. We mustn't necessarily get into a puritanical view where all exotics are bad. The aliens, invasive weeds, sure. But it's nice to play around with exotics. It actually works quite well. My current role is a landscape and environmental manager. I oversee all aspects relating to landscape and environmental management on both Estate 1 and 2, and consult for the golf course club as well. The landscape and horticultural component of that portfolio is, again, we oversee private and common area maintenance. We've got our common area contractor, which is currently Countryline. We basically oversee upgrades, improvements to various common areas, overlooking designs or doing designs myself, and making sure they're implemented properly into SALI standards. Introduction of new and interesting plant varieties for both aesthetic improvements as well as for the estate and course. And again, part of estate management is you've always make sure that your contractors are doing their job, as well as the private gardeners, which is a little bit more challenging, but we've got a couple of ideas that I'll mention just now. So basically, you want to uphold the estate standards. Mount Edgecombe has grown to have quite a good reputation for being quite a good, well-maintained estate with good standards, and we want to keep that up. And the whole thing is to stay relevant and to stay updated. There's a lot of estates happening and being built up elsewhere. And how do you keep up with those estates? How do you keep up with the eco estates? Do you want to be an eco estate, or do you want to be a wildlife estate, or do you want to be just a normal estate that a horticultural landscape estate? So different aspects that you need to consider. Me, I'm a greenie. If I could, I wouldn't mow any of my verges. I'd let them grow out to be meadow grass, and I'll just maintain small edges along the road. I like biodiversity, I like the bees, I like the butterflies, I like everything that's good that's found in nature. You're dealing with some residents, though, that have a lot of money and they want everything pristine and cut, and they don't want to even have an ant inside their house. So you've got different challenges around that one. Development and application of policies, rules, guidelines. I've just finished completing it's a 38-page, what we call the landscape and environmental rules for the estate. The estate 1 and 2 are currently merging, so this will be one document that covers everything from landscape management to environmental practices, the do's and don'ts, including penalties. So if someone captures a nyamazan and they're taking it out, what is the fine? What is the fine if you are washing chemicals down the drain and it's ending up into our EPA dam areas? All those type of things. Without rules, without laws, people are chaotic. Whether they're rich people or not, everyone likes to break rules. We need to have rules in place if we want to maintain standards. And people buy into estates for those same rules. That if their neighbor's dog's barking, they can phone security, and security comes and knocks on their door to say, hey, your dog is starting to make a noise. Nice life, eh? In my neighborhood, my neighbor's dog just barks, barks, barks. But anyway, the environmental aspect of the portfolio, again, ensure sound environmental practices, develop and manage the environmental management plan. Environmental education of estate residents, that's an ongoing thing. Education's ongoing. You can do newsletter after newsletter with alien invasive plants, the likes. Some read it, some don't. How do we get the information out? Do we use Facebook? Do we use WhatsApp media platforms or the likes? Because the more people are educated, the more they grow to understand it, the more they love it, the more they protect it. Protecting the environment, particularly managing human-nature conflict with an estate such as ours, particularly that it's developing and it's becoming more of an ecological haven for local wildlife. We are seeing a lot of external animals coming in, for instance monkeys. As the areas around us are developed with the whole Cornubia development and the extensive development happening further up, there's less and less habitat for these animals. They are coming into the estate. How do we manage that? How do we manage numbers through the likes of governing bodies like eThekwini, KZN Wildlife, and also with us being a conservancy, we do have certain responsibilities to do that. But how do you manage the human nature problems? So here we have very affluential people that spend anything between 6 bar to 55 bar. I think the one house sold at 55 million or whatever. They want to live on an estate, keep their doors open, and now we get a troop of monkeys running through and going through the salad bowls, trashing their house, urinating on the couches. So you can imagine, I mean, what type of problems come out. So it's education on all levels. How do we stop the monkey issue? How do we manage the monkey issue? How do we manage perception of monkeys? Similar the way you'd learn to understand dogs. What to look in for a dog if the dog's going to attack you or not. Development application of policies, rules, guidelines as mentioned, and overseeing that management, as well as auditing, liaison with local environmental authorities and consultants, as mentioned, KZN Wildlife, and likewise overseeing survey reports. We do have environmental consultants like Richard McKibben. We've had some guys from UKZN Research. In fact, they're currently doing research on the Polyphagus shotarbora. I've had Jared, I've forgotten his name, also. He's just done his PhD in ecology. So our doors are open for research, and it's nice to get that information, to put it together. It all helps in terms of development and expansion on our environmental management plan. I'm not speaking too fast, am I? Okay. Aims, goals, and ideas. All right, so on the landscaping side, we always want to upgrade our areas. As mentioned, there's still a lot of revamp that I still want to do, areas that I'm not happy with. On the pretty side of things, the landscape side. That's what sells your areas, where people come through and they notice a different flower every time, or they notice a nice combination. That is almost on the spine of the estate, and then surrounding those spines in the small areas, what we call EPAs, environmentally protected areas, or green belts. There we have all the goodies, like your diverse planting and the likes. We want to improve, obviously, and maintain our standards, and now particularly along the environmentally friendly direction. Gone are the days where we are going to allow pest control companies to come in with say a cypermethrin, like a Kemprin or the like, and just drench properties and nuke everything. Just because the homeowner doesn't want ants, they then come and spray the whole property, and it kills every single thing in that soil profile. Cypermethrin, 1 part to 1,000,000, I think it is toxic to aquatic life. That's now has a potential of washing off into our dams, and that could be a catastrophe. So those type of things, and it's a growing trend, but a growing necessity for us to use organic and biocontrol rather than traditional standards of poisons and pesticides, herbicides, and the likes, fungicides. Still want to be innovative. Methods. Are we testing the soil? Are we testing the water? Sometimes people only test the soil, but they actually forget that you're watering with your dam water. Is the dam water conducive to what you're needing to use it for? And how is your soil sitting? Don't just keep throwing 232 in springtime and 515 in summer, because that's the way you're taught to do it. Adjust your nutrients according to what your soil tests are saying. And again, try get away from the inorganics to more organic. So big trend now is your soil microbes, establishing good biomes. That's the answer to our solutions. I'm part of a movement called Save Soil. Actually, an Indian guru called Satguru. He's just done a 110-day journey from various places around the world, raising awareness of our soil degradation in the world. Without proper soil, we can't produce proper foods, and we're in a problem. We need to look after our soil. Wholesale plant purchase, again, we purchase directly from the wholesalers, so we save money in terms of not relying on a landscaper to add markup on it. And again, with my years in the industry, I've developed a lot of nursery contacts, so by purchasing it directly from the nursery, we can reduce costs, and it then makes my budget stretch further, and I'm able to do more with the limited budget that I have. Propagation, tunnel, small nursery establishment. Kululeko is going to be involved more in that one. We're busy planning on that, expanding on our production and our propagation. How can we set up a better nursery? Similar to Simbali. I don't know if anyone's seen Simbali nursery. It's come a long way. I think Mohammed was an ex-student here. Oh, sharp guy. Eh? Oh. Continued development of our own signature. Every estate's different. Simbiti is different from Simbali. Simbali is different from Manejkam. In every estate, you want to develop that signature to be unique, but at the same time use what works in various other estates as well. And again, we want to enter into Sali this year. I'm a bit of a perfectionist, so I hold back until I'm comfortable with entering it. But yeah, the aim is to get some awards there. On the environmental side, number one, we want to create more ecological interest and biodiversity. The more people love the environment, the more people are going to support you when you're wanting to raise money for the improvement of the environment. Again, we love what we understand, and that's the whole thing, is how do we get people to know that, to understand that us leaving the grass to grow out in a certain area is not because we're lazy and we don't want to cut it. It's actually because we want to get in all those nice felt grasses, the seed for birds, and the little mini ecosystems going. Once they understand it, you take a couple of pictures of the little finches eating seed off something like a soteria, and you post that in newsletters, and it's like, wow. So when they walk, they're looking for those things. So when I first changed an area near gate 6 and we stopped cutting some grasses, I would get email after email saying, I don't know what I'm doing, and the estate's going backwards, until the concept was sold and they were educated. Now everyone is wanting to do that. So you live by example, and you can prove by example. Again, we're on quite an intensive alien weed control. Eradication, great, but you'll never reach eradication. I think it's impossible. In certain parts of South Africa, in particular some areas where they say it will take 300 years of active management to keep it under control. And we all know that that's not happening. But the importance of controlling as it pops up, eradicating as best as possible, but the whole thing is to stay on top of it. And then how does it spill over? If you have an estate, don't think of yourself as a small island. For instance, if you got your garden at home and you're taking away, let's say you're taking the Sandanezwa or the Bangabang, and your neighbor's got a big plant and it's growing into your property. Hey, make him aware. Then hopefully he'll make his neighbor aware. And that way we expand our footprint, and it's making our job easier, and that it's staying out of our gardens, but also we helping educate and understand people. The last Conservancy meeting I met a guy from Ntozuma, Sandile, I think, who's very active in Ntozuma area. I haven't seen his work, but in terms of education and getting people aware of alien weeds. It's not just for the Abalungu, eh? Okay. Continued ecological research and availability for research groups to come in. As mentioned, the various UKZN groups, or if there's people from DUT that want to do like studies on something, our doors are open. Like I mentioned, let's go organic, nature friendly. Let's reduce water consumption. Hydrozoning, everyone knows what hydrozoning is. Know what hydrozoning is? Okay, it's grouping of plants together that like the same amount of water. So you're not going to plant something that likes a lot of water with something that doesn't like a lot of water. And then you can actually change your irrigation systems to water according to the needs of the different plants. Very important practice, because you don't want to just water everything just for the sake of watering. And recycling, big thing. Don't do it as much in South Africa, but we need to. Aims, goals, ideas. I was at a forum between ourselves, Zimbabwe and Simbiti yesterday with KZN Wildlife. We want to look at how can I formally make certain areas on our estate protected. We have several top species. I don't know if you've heard of what a top species. It's threatened or protective species or protected species. Let's name, the lizard, water monitor. Yeah. 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 Ligavon. Yeah. Is a Zulu also. It's Zulu, hey. Unfortunately, they're being used quite a lot for traditional medicine, so they are protected. We do have several on the estate, but again, how can we protect areas? Because if areas are protected, it just helps back up my landscape and environmental rules. Mountain bike, okay, contractor accreditation. How do we audit our contractors? How do we make sure they're still delivering a good quality workmanship? The issue is always everyone's under financial squeeze. We always want the cheapest price. How can we then, as an estate, make sure that our contractors are still delivering the basic services and still yet providing economical or cost-effective rates to our residents? Mountain bike, we've got a trail and a running and a walking, running mountain bike trail. How do we develop that? I've just finished reading a nice book called Nature Fix, and it's got some really nice ideas. How do you create interest in nature? Little bug hotels. Has anyone heard of a bug hotel? Probably think I'm mad talking about this stuff. Even a pile of logs in an environmental area is a haven for snakes and bugs and ants and everything, all the good things. Those type of features where residents can walk and QR scan, and it tells them what a bug hotel is, or it tells them about maybe they're coming to an Iboza plant and they don't even know that if you crush it and you smell it, or what it can be used for, all those type of good things. Garden audits. With the assistance of Nkululeko, basically he does garden audits, garden checks, landscape and environmental sales reports, alien weed declarations. In fact, he spots the alien weeds quicker than me these days, which is great. He's currently part of it was a 1-year internship. We've just made it now a 2-year internship, so he's joining us again for another year. It's going to drive me crazy though, that's the problem. No. In-service training, we want to open up for more in-service training for students needing that. At the moment, we've been focusing on the internship side, but hopefully this year we're able to open up more. Local area development and community. So in other words, like I've said, don't think it's all about you. How do you take your practices outside? Currently, we're maintaining quite a large stretch of the Sanrail area bordering the N2 freeway just before the glide off to Mount Edgecombe. It was full of alien weeds, like I mentioned. All of that weed seed was coming into our estate. It makes our job harder, so by eliminating them on the outside, it makes our job easier. And again, here we got a big affluential estate spilling it over. How do we engage SANRA to say, hey, this is what we're helping? Put ourselves on the map. Our local areas, our local schools, what are we doing there? Are we creating knowledge, awareness about the environment? Are we assisting with knowledge on maybe planting soup gardens or food gardens? That's a big craze now and so important. And keeping us on the map in terms of our standards and levels of excellence. All right, some pics. Can't really see them too well. This is an island that we've called David Circle that we stripped a while ago, planted up. It's a pity that quality is like that. But really flowering aloes, succulents, and really have created a very nice feature about on the island. What I do have is 3 large baobabs that I'm hoping this year to plant in the island to replace the tree aloes. So you can see the sand. The profiles of the sand in Mount Edgecombe vary from practically like plastering sand to Berea reds to some decentish soil, but mainly Berea red and a very sandy soil. It's ex-sugarcane fields. So we know sugarcane fields aren't the best in terms of environmentally friendly pieces of land. They pump a lot of inorganic fertilizers and a lot goes down. So really we've had a few issues to deal with, but that island turned to be that, and when it flowers, can't really see it, but it really is now a feature. Other areas where it was this old school landscaping, Durantashina's gold, to more indigenous, and again where we're changing various areas and letting them grow out wild to what we call green belts or natural little areas of environmental importance. Other sections of landscaping, various areas that we've done. Again, a bank under the 2 landscape environmental managers before me. It was an old man, and that's the way he always did it. Ex-Tongaat Hewlett's employee now, and he used to cut the grass to an inch of its life, and we let it grow out. We let all the goodies come in. We seeded it with a wild grass seed mix, and now we've got a fantastic buffer from that to that. So it's nice to see your work changing and the environment changing. We've got houses that like eco gardens. Part of that code that I mentioned, or that rule, the rule book I've mentioned, is how do you classify as an eco garden? What are the requirements? So we can't have Mr. Brown saying his garden's an eco garden just because he doesn't want to cut his lawn or take out the weeds. There has to be certain criteria. It has to be looked at. There has to be alien weed control, various components. We recycle, so all our chipping, all our pruning, our refuse, our leaf litter, grass clippings goes into a compost heap which we turn over. We put compost activators, and we can produce a very nice compost, and bark mulch as well that really is good for soil mulching. So important to mulch. Various other little environmental areas. We've got several little ponds that are nice little ecological havens for various things, whether it be yellow-billed ducks to various species of frogs. We've got 13 species of frogs on the estate, which is fantastic. Chameleons, we've got a whole lot of stuff that's now coming in to what used to be a very sterile environment, a very golf course managed environment. Now we're getting on the sides of the golf course ecological spots. There's Nkau there. That's an example of a recent bushbuck survey that our contractor did with the help of Nkululeko and myself, just plotting the course around where all the areas that we walked around the estate, and then GIS pinpointing where we found bushbuck. Like I said, everything needs to be controlled in a gated environment. Even your bushbuck are like the rabbits of the game. They breed, they need to be controlled. Okay, various aspects of estate management. I don't want to talk too long, so I'm wrapping up nearly. Residential management, L&E rules, non-compliance challenges. You always got residents not wanting to follow the rules, chopping down a tree. How do you manage that? How do you manage contractors that don't have PCOs? One thing that if you are getting into the landscaping area, soon as you've got your qualification, get under supervision, get your PCO, your certificate, because the Agricultural Remedies Act, you shouldn't be applying any product for sale purposes without a PCO, and that even includes your herbicides. Why garden centers sell these products to the whosoever, I don't know, because it's just kind of encouraging irresponsible use in local environments. Landscaping, environmental education, that's ongoing as mentioned. How do we slow down or reduce or stop pesticide use? As mentioned, the store-bought versus the pest control contractors that are nuking gardens. Mentioned earlier, how do we manage and educate humans so that they understand, don't necessarily go up to a bushbuck. If a monkey gives you a quick smile, he doesn't want to bite your leg off. Especially monkeys with ladies, they tend to be a lot more aggressive. How do you act and react instead of just freezing and having a heart attack? Again, a lot of this is what I call Psych 101. So you may be studying horticulture, but you're going to have to also study psychology. So I suggest you learn psychology, because you're dealing with humans, you're dealing with people, you're dealing with different cultures, different races. Everyone thinks differently. How can you encompass all people in the work that you're doing? Jeff Nichols always used to say that to me. We don't just study horticulture, we also have to study psychology. Private gardens, garden services, and the various challenges related to that. So we've got a lot of private gardeners that get employed by residents. They may be ex-painters, they may be ex-wherever. They've got no gardening experience. How do we as an estate train up those private gardeners? So one, they know what to look for, they know the alien weeds. Because if we can have private gardeners that we upskill and they get a certificate, it's good for them, as well as it helps us in terms of management. Because we've then got the private side all knowing what they're doing, the contractors all knowing what we're doing, and then there's less niggling, sending emails, I'm going to fine you, and then residents fighting with you. Again, common area management, service providers, the service level agreement, where when you get into the industry, you'll learn contracts, you'll learn tenders, service level agreements. What do you hold your contractor to do in maintaining the site? Are there certain levels of standards that they can't drop by? If you give them an instruction and haven't followed, do you penalize them? Sometimes you have to be the nasty guy. I'm very fair, but when it comes time to issuing fines, you shouldn't be scared of issuing fines. Again, golf course environment, trying to get as much natural environment into course areas. Golf courses generally aren't really interested in the environment in terms of they hate reeds in their dams because it blocks their site of play or play. So they're quite hesitant to allow grasses to grow up and the likes. I'm slowly winning them. On estate 2, we've got in fact, it would be nice you come do a tour on the estate, and we can always open up if you guys want to. Really getting that on the go, and how do we then take in other ecological concepts? So Egyptian geese are a huge problem. I normally go out with a contractor, we shoot them. It's not nice, but it has to be done. But then how can we assist that? How can we grow grasses around the edges of ponds? How do we get the water monitor lizards into those areas that will eat the babies and it'll eat the eggs? Natural control as opposed to having to obtain all the permits and legislature for discharging a firearm in public. And again, there's a thing called John Collier's report, which is an environmental assessment of golf courses. If I can get my come onto that report and get a very high ranking, it then shows the courses, the plus side of having environmental sound practices. And You got to win people. So what do they say? You win people with honey. You don't win people with vinegar. You win bees with honey, not with vinegar. Important part, time management and prioritization. Planning and deadline commitments. If you're working in estate management, there's a lot of demands. You sometimes have to drop what you're doing for residents' calls. They may seem crazy. I mean, some of the requests we get is, can we not tell load shedding to change so that, they think we've got a direct line to the government. It's amazing what wealthy people sometimes think. But all those type of problems. Some tips and advice and motivation, and just wrapping up now. Never stop learning. I haven't stopped learning. I'm still learning. And never be proud, where you're too proud to learn from anyone. I think Albert Einstein says, even on the point of human interaction, that he'll talk to a street sweeper in the same way that he'll talk to a professor. Treat everyone has knowledge to learn. Some of the best knowledge that I learned when I was at Idube, when I was thinking the more fertilizer I threw in the hole, the better. And I remember old Velapi going, hey, And you even learn from some of your employees a large part of the time. So research, read. And don't just read horticulture. Read things up on environment, on business, on time management. Remember, the more diverse and the more skills you have, improve your skills, the better you become. Learn new ones. Problem solving. It's easy to learn out of a book, a textbook, but how do you then solve a problem when you're in that situation? Keep up to date with new machinery. I taught myself Word and Excel. I didn't go any courses, but you play around with these things and you learn it. Network and exposure. Join societies like your botanical societies. Join clubs and groups. Go to open gardens. Go to different nurseries. You can't study horticulture if you hardly go to nurseries. You don't have to buy anything. Walk around and learn new names or new plants and get your plant knowledge on ID. There's nothing worse than having someone that their plant knowledge is not good. Especially if you're working on an estate and residents think you know everything. Now you're walking with them and they go, oh, what tree is that? Or what tree is that? I don't know. Learn it. ID it. Landscaping. Be a landscaper that landscapes proper rather than what I call landscape flower arranging. Anyone can put together a nice combination, but it's badly spaced. And you watch a landscaper that matures to be something nice versus a flower arrangement that eventually after 1 or 2 months you've got to pull stuff out or rehash it. Understand your plant material, understand how it grows and the likes. Practical experience. Don't just read about digging a hole one by one by one. When I was first a student at Idube, I was digging 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter holes. When you then become a manager, you're not one of those managers that expects your staff to dig 100 holes. Meanwhile, you can actually only physically dig 2 or 3 yourself. Understand it because it helps you to price things. If you know how long it takes to cut 400 square meters of lawn, you know how much labor is going to take. If your staff member takes 4 hours and you know it takes an hour, then you know, hey, you're trying to pull the wool over my eyes. So all of those type of things. And like I said, understanding humans, communication skills, even how you answer a phone call. You can de-escalate a person over the phone call. A person speaking to you on the other line can even know if you're smiling over a phone call. And I don't know if you've tried that. So like if you speak to someone who's like, hello, hi, how are you? I'm like, or hello, hi, how are you? They can almost hear your smile. And there's a lot of ways that you can calm people down. Because remember, we're dealing with clients, you're dealing with customers, you're dealing with bosses. You need to know how to be firm, fair, be openness, be flexible. And at the end of the day, have a good attitude and be humble. Never think you know it all, because you never know it all. In the hort industry, I'm sure Dr. Foley can say, we're still learning plants. You'll never learn them all. Set goals, set them, be them, reach them. Thank you. This one.
You mentioned about getting a contract. The contractors you have, you approve them or reject them.
Yeah.
But in terms of keeping their prices low, How do you manage this with the inflating petrol prices? Because I know in terms of grass cutting and generally in horticulture, fuel bills are one of the biggest bills.
Yeah.
Do you also accommodate that or factor that in? Because also squeezing the contractor for the last bit doesn't actually assist the contractor in his or her survival.
No. So the two aspects on that one is the private contractors that work for private residents. We don't dictate prices and the likes. It's a competitive industry, and when you live on an estate, it becomes like a neighborhood where everyone knows everyone. So if one guy's doing a bum job, guarantee his neighbor or his friend who's using the same guy, they're going to chat, and you could end up losing 4 or 5 contracts just because you're not doing a good job in one specific house. Pricing the same way. Unfortunately, in Durban, everyone seems to be cutting everyone's throat with prices. And you can't fix prices, so I can't monopolize prices because then obviously that's being uncompetitive and the likes. But what we do is we do assess prices, because sometimes a contractor comes through gate 5 and goes, "Oh, my Edgecombe, I'd normally charge 300, now I'm going to charge 1,300. So where that comes in, yes, we may question the contractor, but most likely residents are going to go, by word of mouth, don't use that or he's ripping you off. But yeah, fuel, having been a contractor for 20 odd years, the price of fuel is so hard to determine and keep up with. Same as statutory increases with labour. I know the minimum wage is going up March, as well as theft. So petrol, in the previous companies I've worked, your staff selling petrol, and you're wondering why a brush cutter is using more than 3.5 litres of fuel a day, 5-6 litres. Then you do the maths and you have a look and see those selling a litre here, a litre there, and it's you're wondering why your fuel bill's so high.
Including your herbicides, your
Yeah.
spark plugs, pieces of nylon.
Yeah, because they're working on an estate with other contractors, and hey, I've got a spark. Yeah, I'll sell a spark plug for I don't know, $10. Everyone wants to make a bit of money, and how do you? So in terms of running your own company, those are all the things that you've got to bring into equation: theft, proper use, proper servicing machines. But yeah, costs are a difficult one.
Well, I quite knew the answer, but the only reason I asked it is because I wanted them to get.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I wanted them to get, especially today's theme was basically operations management.
Okay.
And then there's a lot of things that you touched on in terms of operations management. And I mentioned to them about now with it being a consumer's market where there's greater competition, which is better for the consumer, because then you don't get price fixing, right?
Yeah.
And then the customers get what customers want rather than what industries will just throw at them.
Yeah.
Okay. So the one thing I said to them that the only way for you, they're going to become contractors at some stage, to become competitive, is to bring down their cost of sales, basically, or their running costs. But if they're bringing down their running costs, they can't compromise the quality of the work that they're giving out.
Yeah.
So the best way to do it is to reduce your cost of sales, and some of the ways of reducing your cost of sales is monitoring.
Yeah.
Like monitoring the petrol, monitoring the nylon, monitoring...
And productivity is a huge thing.
And also the good things that you mentioned was in terms of making your own compost. I mean, making your own compost, you're not taking your refuse now to the tip site where you're paying, and the traveling cost and transport cost, and also you're not having to pay for the compost that you normally bring in. And then you also have control of what you are bringing in compost.
Sure.
I mean, compost, in terms of quality, you don't know what's actually being used in making that compost. And then the other thing, also in terms of productivity or operational efficiencies that Warren mentioned is that, you know, I mentioned prevention is better than cure, right? So rather than go and try all day, every day, pulling out invasive areas because your neighbor is not maintaining his or her property, it may be cheaper for you to say to your neighbor, at my cost, I'll cut down that for you, I'll clean that bush like they're doing with the Sandra freeway, you understand? So sometimes, if you want things to work for you and to reduce your workload, it may be worthwhile investing in cleaning somebody else's property to actually save your own.
It's a similar type of thing with tender contracts. You get a contractor that wins a tender, and instead of taking the profits from, let's say, your first 1 or 2 months and putting it back, or maybe let's say a year, putting it back into the company, buying your ride-ons. So instead of having one, and I saw as I came in here, the guy cutting the grass field with an electric mower, and he's like this, flip. Well, look, it keeps him employed, but if he had a ride-on, you'd cut that in an hour. So instead of going out and buying the Range Rovers and BMWs, and you often see, and the companies fail because now there's a lot of money that's coming, but they're not putting back into the company by getting the machinery, and making your production cheaper, so your prices can stay competitive, and you can get that job done over an hour, move on to the next job, and the more jobs you do, the more profit you're making. So it's that type of mindset that you must get into.
You also have a lot of contractors using brush cutters only to even cut flat lawns.
Yeah, I saw it as I came in here.
To cut flat lawns. One brush cutter is not going to give you the best cut because
Definitely.
you're slashing basically, or you're whooping and tearing the grass. And the other thing is you have to come behind, if they ever do a rake, you're going to come back and rake. And when you rake a lawn, you're going to lift up all the tufts of grass, so your finish is not going to look smooth and even and fine. You're not going to get a high quality finish, see?
Yeah.
So, but you're wasting more money.
Yeah.
And then the last thing, Warren, one of the things that you also mentioned, which we've been trying to drive home here today, was your interpersonal skills, interpersonal communication skills, people skills. As a manager, you're going to have a high degree of conceptual skills and a little bit of technical skills, but you find a lot of the horticulturists that work their way from the bottom up have as much conceptual skills as they have their technical skills. Put them down there to repair a lawnmower, he'll repair it for you, and ask him how to plan of how you're going to do cutting, he'll do that for you. But in terms of interpersonal skills, throughout, from the bottom to the top, if you don't have it, you're going to find it difficult. Because especially in an estate like Warren's managing at the moment, you have to communicate with contractors, as he said, you're going to communicate with residents, and those are the most, I think the resident part is the worst part, right? Because everybody wants everything to be done to their liking, you know.
Whether you're having a bad day or not, it's the air hostess smile. Hello, how can I help you? And you want to...
And also your staff, right? So you need to communicate with staff. So interpersonal skills is very, very, very important. Sorry, Jonathan.
No, well done.
Okay.
No, all the best. I'm very impressed with my management.
No, thanks for the opportunity.
I remember going there as a student when it was first established. We went to the Manzanyama Gardens, which was still owned by
Tonga dealers. Yeah.
at the time, and it was a tropical paradise. I've just got to tell you, it was a tropical paradise.
It still is. Well, I don't know about
that. I visited with Ryan about 3 years ago, and all I just saw was a mess with Elo Shabani. I thought, what have they done to the place? But anyway, but I want to encourage you in all this biodiversity stuff because that's what Hilton was talking about yesterday. You know,
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
What's up? And you pumping biodiversity.
Yeah, it's very passionate.
That's all great. We're all singing out of the same choir. But and I like those shots you got to the Tomo Felix approach for the ex-managers used to cut the grass with an inch, like basically scalp the grass.
Yeah.
Now, instead of scalping the grass, that's a cost. Now you've installed plants. So the plants are actually looking after the area.
Yeah.
So therefore your maintenance, you've actually reduced your maintenance costs. I don't know by what percent, but I'm sure it's a significant percent.
And the thing is the more areas you develop like that, the whole thing, and so me developing the whole tender for Mount Edgecombe Estate 2, and now on Estate 1 I'm doing, is that you measure every single little corner. So if you have a verge of 100 meters by 5, let's say 500 square meters, now you change that to a pretty much self-sustaining verge, you then can take that cost out of the contractor, and the contractor adjusts their rates. So you're not, because every year your pricing of contracts is going higher and higher, how do you then say, we need to rein in value add? Can my contractor do more than what he's doing? Is the increase that he's requesting too much? You've got prices like your fertilizers, fuels and labor. How do we then accommodate it? And it's by having that dynamic approach to say, well, let's change that area into a wild area.
So you're listening to this, eh? In order to balance out your costs, you actually have to cut out some other areas. But you can't cut it out and leave it unmaintained. You're doing something alternate. You're doing an alternate, right?
So alternate solution.
So alternate solution. So you don't have to cut the grass. That means you now remove that cost. So instead of cutting, say, 5,000 square meters of grass, you're reducing it now to 4,000 square meters of grass. So you managed to even keep the pricing the same as last year, because if the contractor was going to increase his price, now you can't, because he's cutting 4,000 square meters instead of 5,000, so you're paying the same price practically, you understand? So you need to understand that there's other ways of counteracting the price increase. It's about making your money stretch further.
The other one was what I'm mentioning, organic fertilizers versus inorganic. You sort out your soil profile with the right nunus and insects and microbes. You're going to be applying less fertilizers. So you look at the price of fertilizer linked to oil price, and it fluctuates. I mean, what you're spending now on a 50 kg bag of 515, it's what, nearly 1,200 bucks, as opposed to what it used to be, 400 rand. So it's gone from 400, 500 rand to now 1,200. How do we then say, am I just going to keep throwing it on, and every year my fertilizer bill becomes more, but I'm not actually getting what I want environmentally, but also I'm not getting that nutrition back out of an area like with soils like mine Edgecombe, where first heavy or second heavy or third heavy rains, it's leached. You've got to apply, and that's what I'm saying, problem solving. Learn new things, expand your mind. Don't, you learn the skeleton at tech, at DUT. When you're out there, that skeleton, you now need to start putting flesh on. And it depends on whether you're going to be a good runner or someone that walks. The choice is yours, but you've got to keep learning.
Just one last thing. Warren also mentioned about, soon the minimum wage. Minimum wage is going to go up, which means you're going to have to pay your staff more. And if you pay your staff more, it means your pricing goes up. So how are you going to manage that? Even you find lots of domestics have been let go. People are no longer employing domestics like they used to because it's becoming too expensive. Okay? So even if you phone the Department of Labor, they'll tell you, if you want to continue paying your domestic the same salary, all you do is reduce the number of hours that they're going to work for you. So instead of working 8 hours, and say 50 rand a day, 50 rand an hour, for example, you reduce it to 6 hours and you pay the 55 rand an hour, for example. You understand? So you'll still be able to pay the same salary, but except the domestic won't work for the same number of hours, you work for fewer hours. So that's how you balance out costs in order to stay competitive. Thank you. Please save the
I'm here to share my testimonial as a person who has recently walked the path that you are on now. So I'm currently working with this white person. He is my manager, and I'm doing my internship there as the Masterclass Golf Estate. So I'll be giving you my brief journey as a new hot in the green industry. So, I'm gonna start with my educational journey, starting from when I started to study sustainable horticulture and landscaping back in 2019, while I was 19. I started my first year in 2019 and second year in 2020, where we had this COVID-19, and things were a bit tough then, as we were studying while we were at home, and some of us live in the rural areas. So you can imagine how how many difficulties that we had due to things like network, also not having enough data to log onto the online lectures. So it it was tough in 2020, and I presume you were doing your first year then. Yeah. Oh,
21, we also
yeah.
had COVID 21.
Yeah.
So we only had face-to-face tuition in the second semester.
Oh yeah, yeah. So yeah, 2019 first year, second year 2020, and then the the year where I had my miracle in 2021 where I got the Sally bursary. It's changed my whole life and my perspective, because due to that I have a stuttering problem. I was always the shy guy who it doesn't talk much. Even Mr. Kavendan knows in 2020, in 2020, in 2019, I was one of the most quiet person. But yeah, doing also about obtaining that bursary opened many doors for me, as it was the first bursary that I got. While I was doing my third year in 2021, and then 2022, I furthered my studies and did my advanced diploma in sustainable horticulture, and it was tough, but I made it also because this year I'm also graduating. So yeah, the Sally bursary helped me so much because I got all these nice goodies, of which I got a new laptop and some books. Got funded to do an AutoCAD course, of which I was learning how to do 2D and 3D landscape drawings. Also, they just provided me with the wheel, of which it is the work integrated learning, of which I did it at masterclass. And this is how I scored this internship that I am currently on, because I provided some good work so that Warren the thoughts now let's just bring back the guy again so that he can carry on and further his knowledge, because he's one of the gurus in terms of landscaping in the whole East South Africa. So I really respect this guy very much. So yeah, these were the pictures from the bursary, and here I was doing my research on the propagation trials of different species for the undergrowth of forest, of which we have one massive forest there that is called the Pani, and we are trying by all means to create more biodiversity there. So yeah, I am currently working as the Madashcom, and these are few of the tasks that I am doing, of which it is the supervision of the whole estates, Estate 1 and the Estate 2. I am doing, I am currently assessing the work that is done by the contractors, of which it is Country Line or FSG. Yeah, these companies that provides us with the in-service training. Also, like I go and do some LNE, of which like it is the landscape and environment inspections before a property is sold, in order to check if like is there any alien invasive species or on the garden which should be removed before the property is sold. Because like if like we don't remove all these kinds of vegetation, this is like giving someone like it is like selling someone a property that's that is full of problems that it needs to fix by themselves, of which like it is kind of unfair. So yeah, I also do some landscape plans, nursery management, and alien invasive species detection. I've only been working for 1.5 years, I can say, because it is the 6 months in service training and this internship that is going to wrap up around the end of March. It's like it has been one of the challenging journeys, but like I learned how to apply myself on the problem and see how best I can come up with the more suitable solution. Also, like it has been fun because I am learning a lot of things. Of which, like as he just said, like we never stop learning. Whether like it is new plants, or learning more about biodiversity, like how plants and animals interact with each other. So yeah, I've been learning a lot. Also, like it is kind of scary because most of the things that I am faced with, I am faced with each and every day. I'm only doing it for the first time, so there is that kind of fear that, oh, what if like I don't find the most suitable solution to this kind of a problem. But with this has been an emotional roller coaster, but at the end of the day, you must have a positive mindset. Some days are bad and some days are gonna be good, but at the end of each day, you will have learned something. So yeah. No. Yeah. My advice to you all is be determined and love what you are currently studying, because I always tell my friends that we are so fortunate to do this kind of a course, because it has different disciplines, and you can be a person who works in the lab, a person who's a manager on site. There is a lot of job opportunities out there for people like us. Also, like, try to grasp as much as you can of anything. Like, what you are currently learning here, it is just the foundation to what you'll be doing out there. So try and grasp everything as you can. Ask as many questions as you can, because like you can never stop learning new things. Be eager to learn each and every day. Also know your alien invasive species, because this is one thing that we are trying to eradicate. Obviously, like, as he has said now, like, it will take a good 200 years in order to be top of the alien invasive plants. So like, it is gonna benefit you a lot to know these kinds of plants, because even if like you go like you are trying to tender for a small job, of like you can start the seeing problems all around the garden. Like, okay, this thing it must be removed. This we're gonna keep. You see, so yeah, know your alien invasive species, and also know your indigenous plants, because like we are trying to what's the word, like get the education all around, like know the plants which are from here in South Africa. And also, guys, get your driver's license, because like you're gonna be needing them. Yeah, so yeah, this is my presentation. Yeah, I'm just happy to be here to share my journey and my knowledge currently. I'll still have a long way to go, but yeah, it's been fun. Thank you.
Right, so what I've done here is I've taken out from like the study guide and stuff, you know, the main points, okay? And really, if you follow this and this and this, you know, as closely as possible, there should be no problem, okay? So, let's start with questions. What is your question? Anything. If you don't have a question, it's weird, you know? Because you will see when the POE comes in, you will say, well, the student never asked me these questions in the class. So, what is your question? Anything. Huh? Yeah, and that is the problem, the fundamental problem. You don't have questions. That means everything in the world is perfect. Huh? You don't have a single question. There's nothing you're curious about. There's nothing you want to ask about the world. Kara, I have a question. What is your question?
What if where you're working you're not exposed to as many plants? You're only exposed to like 1 or 2 types of plants.
Okay, so this is not a plant studies module.
Yeah.
This is horticulture.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Because it says here like production of specialized crops.
yeah, but remember, what I'm giving you here is examples of activities you could include and discuss in your POE. Now you speak English, right? Let's say this again. In this table, I'm giving you examples of activities you could include and discuss in your POE. I'm not saying you must discuss every single aspect here. This is a wide variety of things I'm giving to you, right? You could include it and other things that are not here. This is just a guide. You understand the meaning of the word could versus must. Huh?
Yes.
Yeah. Here are examples of things, because you all are doing a wide variety of different world experiences. But there is overlap. I mean, Country Line is doing the same thing as Bidvest, Top Turf is doing the same as JPJ Landscapes and Itiquini. There is, otherwise you will not be in horticulture. You'll be doing something else. Okay? All of you all are in different companies, but there's many things that are in common. That's why all of you all are based in Mshlanga and you're all competing companies. Okay? There is overlap.
So what is meant by service providers? Is it the people that
The companies, where is that?
I'm working, the first paragraph, the last part,
First paragraph.
is not the one that tells us the students require this one, the last point.
Plant products and service providers in the marketplace. Yeah, so if you are working at any of these landscaping companies or horticulture companies, you'll be using equipment, you'll be using chemicals, there will be people supplying things to you, there will be people you are buying from, there are people you'll be selling to, you know? But the service providers, the people who provide the services in the horticulture industry, not just staff, the companies.
Because I'm working, it's not a private company.
Yeah.
I'm working in a municipality.
Okay, but when you work in the municipality, maybe the trucks break down. Who comes and fixes the trucks? Maybe you buy chemicals. Who do you buy the chemicals from? These are all companies and individuals that provide services to the company that you are working for. Okay? I'm going to come back to your questions, all of you, but let me just say a few things. Okay. Let's go here to, just to the basic structure of the POE. You are going to use Arial or Calibri font. Everybody knows what that is, right? So you're going into Microsoft Word. That is where you're going to do your POE. You're going to use Arial or Calibri font. It's going to be size 12. Everybody knows how to do that so far? Okay. It's going to be single spaced. Right? No one's going to do 1.5 spacing or double. It's single spaced. Are you clear? Right? 2-column format. Okay? 2-column format. That's how you'll be. This is not 2-column format. Okay? 2-column format allows you to put more information on a page. Okay?
So if you're using the two-column format, what about the size of the pictures?
Yeah, they will fit.
Don't they be small?
No, they won't be that small. They are sufficient. They've always been submitted in two-column format with pictures. Okay? It works. I can maybe show you some examples. I can email you something. Okay? And no borders. Don't put any borders around the page, even the cover page. Okay? Like, see, there's no borders here. Okay? So 2-column format with pictures. And again, yeah, talking about pictures, you know, just like in the prac books presentation, this is, you can go into PowerPoint, do your pictures there, bring it into Word, you know. This is really, with the technology that exists today, with the cell phones and PowerPoint and stuff, there should be no excuse, you know. Don't send me pictures that are like, you can't see what's there. When you put a picture there, it's for somebody, like when you put your pictures of yourself on your profiles, you'll spend a lot of time on it, okay? So why don't you just spend the same effort on these pictures? Make things consistent, you know. If you've got 2 columns, here and here, you know, and if the pictures, I mean, the pictures can take there, and then label it figure 1 and write, you know, something there. Stem cuttings of Duranta erecta placed in river sand, right? And then when you're writing in the text, refer to figure 1. Like, don't just put pictures there and figures, but don't refer to it in the text. Okay? And then, if over here you've got figure 2, label it figure 2, have a caption, and it must be the same dimensions as that one. Be consistent. Okay? Don't have small, big. You can do all your figures in PowerPoint so that they're the same size and then bring them into Word. Okay? Neatness, present. You see, these things in this world, the world we live now, is really important. When you will be doing proposals later in life, when you will be applying for funding, when you all may form companies, when you'll go and work and they ask you to do these things, they want to see there's Microsoft Word and Microsoft PowerPoint skills. You can put it in your CV, okay? And if you do a nice portfolio, remember I mark it, and then students don't ask for it, but I do give it back to you. I should give it back to you, okay? And you can use it as examples of your work. You're building up your stuff, like your prac books, your POEs, they all become evidence of your learning that you can show to people. Okay? And this is South Africa, this is Africa, you know, this is how, and people, you know, don't think people in Africa are stupid, you know. Countries like Kenya, Rwanda, I mean, these countries are leading Africa in the technology revolution. And we also want to be there, you know. And what you want to do good work in Word and PowerPoint. That's what it exists there. It's a powerful software. It's powerful word processing, you know. Just with Microsoft Word and PowerPoint skills, you really, you know, separate yourself from a lot of people. It's a skill, you know. Even how you do your CV, the skills you learn in doing this, you can do your CV also. I do my CV in PowerPoint. I don't do it in Word. I go into PowerPoint, I choose A4 page, and I do my CV in PowerPoint. And then I save it as a PDF. You'll understand what I'm saying? Yeah. And that CV comes out looking much better, because in PowerPoint you get a lot of ability to use the graphics capabilities there. Okay? And even if your content is weak, you know, if your presentation is good, if it looks creative, it looks pleasing to the eye, it's difficult to fail that, because there's a lot of other things you are looking for in students' work, you know. Just make it neat and presentable. Follow the instructions. Use Calibri Arial font, size 12, single space, 2-column format, no borders. You know, when you're walking home, sitting in a taxi, walking alone, just memorize it and say it to yourself. Arial or Calibri font, size 12, no borders, 2-column, right? Put it there, because it irritates me when I get these submissions and you see the student has used a different font, or has used size 11, or it's not single spaced, you know. And I'm saying use size 12 font, but if you want to use size 11 or size 10 font for the figure captions, it's fine. Okay? You can use different size fonts for your headings and stuff, but overall, the text in the document must be size 12. Right? But you are free to use size 11 and size 10 if you want to use it for the captions, for titles and things like that. Okay? But the body, the main text of the document is size 12, single spaced. Okay? They're all clear? Yeah. But no, I'm not going to penalize you for creativity. You know? Be brave, be creative. When I submit my work, sometimes I do that. You know? I go against sometimes what they're saying because I know what I'm giving is better than what they told me to do. Right? And sometimes I get penalized for it, sometimes I don't. But, you know, that's how you show your true self in this world. Length of the POE, 25 to 30 pages. Now remember, you're doing a double column, okay? So if you did it single column, 20 to 30 pages would maybe be 35 or 40 pages, okay? But again, I'm not like being stubborn about this. It's a guide. 25 to 30 pages should be sufficient for you to cover the content that we want from you and to fulfill the requirements. Last year, 2 students submitted 70-page documents. Now remember, I have to mark 25 of yours. It takes a lot of time, right? Sometimes you can only mark like 2 or 3 in a day, right? So don't submit. I know some of you will do so much work, and this is what those 2 students did. They did a lot of stuff, and you know, I didn't penalize them. I read the 70 pages, but we are reading. We will get your 25 submissions, right? Plus the other 40 students doing the A module. They will also submit POEs. So in about 3 or 4 months, I'm going to have 70, 30 to 40 page POEs to mark. That's a lot of work, okay? And I don't cheat, I mark it. You will see that, okay? And even people, when they look at my marking and they look at my moderation documents, they look at things I submit, they will say, who is, Dr. Mati was in a meeting last week and the dean asked, who is this lecturer? Because the work was meticulous, okay? And even you asked me to remark your script. I didn't get involved in it because I know the mark I gave you was the right mark. Okay, I take my time when I mark your work. Okay, I read it carefully. Okay, to be fair to you. So you all must also be fair to me. Give me stuff that I want to read. Don't give me stuff that I'm like some of the stuff that is submitted when it's plagiarized, when there's copying and stuff. You know, y'all are wasting our time. Don't waste my time because I'm not wasting your time. Okay. So 25 to 30 pages of quality, you know, is sufficient. If you go less, if you go 20 pages and it's great, you're not going to get penalized. I'm not going to penalize you, but I'm telling you 25 to 30 pages of double column format, single space, size 12 with pictures is sufficient, right? For you, because really what you want to do is here. See here, the section of your a POE may include discussion of your experiences in. There. Put a square around that. Like that. That is your contents page. You can copy and paste that. You know? So how would you use this document? I would keep this document with me as I'm doing my work, wherever I am. And I will see, right, this is what you have to do. You have to show me something in your POE on asexual and sexual plant propagation and planting techniques. So it says here, include a cover page and a table of contents underlined. You must have a table of contents. It also helps you. You see, a lot about doing this POE is not so much about horticulture, it's about teaching you how to produce a document. You know, many things you will do in life from now onwards because you've got a diploma. Some of you will do advanced diploma, even masters, even PhD, whatever. You will for the rest of your life be doing this type of thing. This is what we do as lecturers. We produce documents. You know, even when I was a student, I would how many POEs I've written, how many assignments I've written through my life, my thesis, my master's, my PhD, everything, you know, it's all more or less in the same way, okay? And you can see I've developed this as my format of writing documents. I always use Calibri font. I always use underscore, bold. If you go and look at a lot of my documents, even stuff I submit as my assignments, they have this type of format, okay? So start developing this skill of writing documents. That is all it is that's different from us and the other people who are laborers. We write documents. We read and write. That's how we communicate. Okay? Reading and writing and doing. Okay? So a lot of what you will do in life, this is the basic skill we are trying to teach you. Okay? It's not just horticulture. Don't just see this as just horticulture. See this as a skill in reading and writing and reporting what you're doing. Okay? Putting information on a page. That is how we communicate. Okay? So, this really is your contents page. Now, you are not going to be doing this, like for example, tomorrow or next week, Monday, when you go and you do something, right? You'll keep a journal of what you did, then Tuesday, then Wednesday. So you will have your journal of everything you did, okay? Now, when it's time to present it, you go back to it and say, okay, what did I do in my world that was about asexual and sexual plant propagation? It may have been day 3, day 7, day 20, day 30, you know, who knows? But now, consolidate that into a section, asexual and sexual propagation and planting techniques, okay? Then you will have another section, soils, media, and containers. Okay? Then you will have another section, fertilization and irrigation techniques. Okay? Then you will have another section, identifying and controlling plant diseases, pests, and weed growth. Okay? Another section, core components and layout of facilities. You all are at facilities. Okay? There's structures, there's things, even if it's not at your office, it's where you go and work. I mean, you don't have to include every single thing you are doing, okay? It may take hundreds of pages, right? But try and fit it in under some of these topics. And I'm not saying you must have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all 8, okay? But generally, your POE should have most of these in your table of contents, okay? Daily, monthly, and seasonal operations and practice, including record keeping and basic management techniques, sustainable production, plant products and service providers within the marketplace. Okay? That can be your table of contents. So I would literally take that, copy and paste it, put it as my table of contents. Okay? My cover page is already, information is there. You would have your name, you would say portfolio of evidence in partial fulfillment of, or in no, I'll use partial, right? Because remember, your ET3 form and the actual experience you're doing, that is also part of the criteria. So you'll have your name, you would say portfolio of evidence in partial fulfillment of horticulture B301, semester 1, okay? You can put below that lecturer, Dr. P. Maestri, and you can put date. That's a simple cover page, okay? Have a look at other documents people have submitted to get ideas of how to do a cover page, okay? You don't have to put fancy borders and twirly things. I don't want to see all that. You can put a picture of you maybe in action, okay? That's about it. Simple cover page, okay? So a simple cover page will be your name, then you say portfolio of evidence in partial fulfillment of HRTB or horticulture B301. Then maybe you'll have a picture of you and then you'll say lecturer and date, you know. That's a cover page, okay? And then next page will be table of contents, okay? And obviously, what's missing here is introduction, okay? So you'll have one extra one on top there in your table of contents, introduction, and then you can get into the actual content of the POE. Asexual and sexual plant propagation and planting techniques. Has anyone got a problem with that one? Are you all doing that in your world? You all must be, okay? You must write something on asexual and sexual plant propagation and planting techniques, okay? Soils, media, and containers. A lot of that, okay? And I'm going from last year's POEs. Fertilization and irrigation techniques, right? Watering of plants. I know some of the landscape companies go to specific places and do watering and weeding and maintenance of plants that they hire out, okay? JPJ Landscapes, I think, does that. Identifying and controlling plant diseases, pests, and weed growth, okay? Core components and layout of facilities. Daily, monthly, and seasonal operations and practice, including record keeping and basic management techniques, okay? Some of this you may say, that fits in with operations. Yes, there is going to be some overlap. Maybe that section you may write more about it in Mr. Governor's POE, okay? But you can include it in this also. Sustainable production, right? What are some of the practices? You all know the 17 SDGs. You all are doing a diploma in sustainable horticulture. What are some of the practices that you all are doing at your companies that you could say we could put that under sustainable production? So even though some of you are doing the same experience at the same company, you all may choose to write it under different topics, okay? It's a very creative, individual kind of experience, this POE. That's why when you say here, students are required to write a daily journal of their horticultural experiences, which is submitted as a portfolio of evidence. Writing and submitting the POE encourages learners to reflect. Each of us reflects on our experience differently, okay? All of you did plant studies 2B, right? There were 80 students in the class. But when you ask the students about what was their experience, everyone will say something different, okay? I will get some students who say, I was the favorite lecturer, I was like this. I will get other students who say they hate me, right? This was the worst lecturer. He was this, that, and it gets even personal what they will say. It's got no relevance to what was done in the class, okay? Because it's the same student in the same experience is reflecting differently. And that's what a POE is about. And that's what we want to get across to you, this why, okay? We don't want you just to say, I did this, I did this, I did this. Today we went to Umhlanga city center and we were asked to uproot all the plants in the bed and then plant this, 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 and that's it. No, there's no why. Why were the plants that you originally saw there, why were they there? What caused the company to select those plants? Why did the customer want those plants? What about horticultural aspects about that plant resulted it being there in central Umhlanga, there by the traffic light in that bed? Of all the 500,000 plants in the world, why were those 3 plants there? Say something about their biology, say something about their horticulture, describe them, right? Why? When you uprooted that plant and you were uprooting it at that time of the month, in that year, why? You know, when you think back, apply some reasoning. When were those plants planted? They were annuals. When they were planted in spring. Now they've had their cycle. Now they finished flower. Now you're taking them out. You know? Show some thought, some reflection on why you are doing what you are doing. You are not there as just a laborer. You are there to experience what these companies do. But there is thought and logic to how these plants got put in that bed, why they're being taken out at that time, why you are replacing them with these plants. When you look at that bed, why is the media like that? You know, that was not there. You all brought it and put it there. When I was at a pavilion about a month ago, I saw some guys from one of the companies. I think it was Country Line. Yeah, there was this big cement block, right? Like you can imagine, like a big pot, right? It was about like this, a wall like this, a wall like that, a wall like that, a wall like that, giving you a square. So that thing was empty. So what they were doing? They were filling it so that they were going to plant. And then when I came there 3 weeks later, I saw it was done. That wall that was so high, that block that was empty, had now been filled with media. But how did they start filling it? First they put gravel, then they put sand, then they put the potting media on the top. There was a logic to it. Why did they do it that way? So if you are doing that in one of your world, they send you and you together to do that together, and you say we put gravel, sand, and then we put, don't just say we put gravel, sand, and then potting mix for the last meter so that the whole 2 meters of that thing was filled, that cavity. You know, why? Now, it's not for every single thing, you know, otherwise your POE is just going to get too elaborate. But show in the writing, right, so that when we mark you according to the rubric, you know, we can see that, okay? We don't just want to see this is what I did, this is what I did, this is what I did, okay? There must be words such as although, however, because, therefore, joining your sentences. Okay? Those words are words that bring in this type of, it's called providing justifications for what you are doing. Provide justifications. Justifications. Okay? Not for every single thing, but it's an art of writing. Okay? It's an art of academic writing. Now, we are not expecting you to write like me, right, who's been doing it for a long time, and that is really what you are taught when you do masters and PhD, and it continues, okay? It doesn't stop. I'm continuously developing and developing. That is my life, that is my job, that is my chosen career, okay? But we are starting you on that process, and that is why you're at university, okay? To learn how to learn. To learn how to express yourself in writing, okay? So there is a certain expectation, a certain level that I want you to show me. It's not an adult level. It's not a professor level. It's a student who's doing third year, who's writing their World POE, who's come through the program year 1, year 2, is now in year 3, right? We know the companies you are working for. We know the people you are engaging with. We know the experiences you are having, okay? Within that level, we want to show, you must demonstrate to me some type of understanding of why you are doing some of the things you are doing, okay? Like you guys at Devonport and Sisonke, you are doing certain things, right? Some of there is some thought behind why you are doing what you are doing. Bring that out, you know? Go and sit with Sarah and say to her, look, we want to spend a day with you. Tell us more about your company. Tell us about how Sisonke fits into the broader aspects of eThekwini municipality's plans for the future, you know? When you are doing things, you know, when you are making beds in a certain way, why are you doing that? You know, just a sentence here or there, you know? Most of the POE is going to be about what you are doing and how you are doing it. But drop in some why, you know, some reflection, you know. So that can be your contents page. You can add more stuff to it if you want, right? You can take out some, but generally, you know, that is the skeleton. If you can have all that in your POE, right? With the how and what you are doing, with a little bit of why, some justifications, and that is where the referencing comes in. The referencing is to show that you are engaging with some academic aspects of what you are doing. Okay? That's what referencing is, because you will have to say certain things in your justifications that can only be said if you go to the literature. Okay? If I start my assignment, when I wrote my PhD, the first line, my PhD began like this: water and nutrients are the most limiting factors for plant growth on Earth. Now, when I write such a sentence, it's a big statement. Water and nutrients, like nitrogen and phosphorus, are the most limiting resources for plant growth on Earth, right? I can't say that statement from my head, right? If I don't reference that, it's called a claim. It's called a belief. But when I reference it, it means I've gone into the literature and I've found studies that have done experiments and shown that water and nutrients are the most limiting resources on Earth. It's a big statement. It has to be referenced. And it requires a strong reference. Some of the best papers or journals published. And maybe it does not even require just one reference, it requires a few. Right? So it'll be Harpole et al. 2021, Johnson and Smith 2018. You know? Or I may even go to a very old reference that is one of the classic papers on resource constraints of plant growth on Earth. Bloom et al. 1985. Okay? Now, I'm not saying that you all must have 3-4 references for every statement, but at a third year level, doing a diploma with 15% of your mark out of 100 being allocated for referencing, I want to see some statements. Okay? 10, 15 quality references. Okay? I don't want to see anon. Don't even go read a reference that is anonymous. Okay? Because the idea is you are going to go and read things written by people who you kind of know that I should be reading those people. You see, we can tell a lot from somebody's publication. I'm not talking about yours now. I'm talking when we read other works, like when our students submit their masters and PhDs, or when our colleagues write papers for publication and they ask us to read it. We go to the reference list. We want to see what did these people read. Because we know, right, because we are in the field and we are reading and reading and reading and reading and reading, we build up in our brain knowledge of who are the people. Like, you know, I know from the fact that I do, that I study plant physiology, I know the leading people in the world in the field of plant physiology, right? And that's what it means to be an academic. That's what it means to be a lecturer. If you go to these professors in biotechnology and stuff, they will tell you who in the world are the leading people in that field, because we are reading their work, right? And that's how we write our work. And that's how this whole world of academia functions. Okay? So what you need to be doing now, you need to be finding certain resources, certain people, right? This is what happens through first year, second year, third year. When you go to advanced diploma, when you do masters, it's just an accumulation and accumulation and accumulation of you getting to know who are the people in the field that you should be reading about. Okay? Now, maybe you are not going to go specifically to the journals, but there will be certain websites. Okay? Like you may reference, for example, the United Nations UN.org, their website on sustainable development, right? If you want to write something about sustainability. Okay? But we're expecting you now in your third year to start reading some journal articles. Okay? Or maybe a textbook. You could reference Hartman et al., plant propagation. Right? That's a key textbook in horticulture. Okay? That is available at the library. And even you have been given references and books to read in your study guides. Okay, I know in plant sciences we recommend, what's his name? I forgot his name. Stern's Introduction to Plant Biology. Right? That is a book that is recommended, required actually for you to read in plant studies. Right? All of you have passed plant studies, 2B, my module. If you go in your study guide, you will see recommended book is Stern's Introduction to Plant Biology. Have any of you ever seen that book? Have you? Once, from a distance. Huh? It was coming to you like an asteroid. Right? So all of you are sitting here. All of you have passed plant studies 2B. In that module, in the study guide, the recommended textbook is Stern's Introduction to Plant Biology. Put your hand up, any of you who have read that book. You haven't even looked at it, you haven't even paged through it. Yeah, you see. So this thing about referencing, every student at DUT just ducks. Why? Because you're not reading. Okay? And at some point in your life, it's going to catch up with you. At some point in your life, they're going to put you there and they're going to realize, hey, you've got a diploma, but you haven't read any books. What's going on? So you need to start reading. Okay? And you need to reference some of the things you are saying, because those things that you're going to be saying there, they are not going to come from your head. Right? So the things, because when we read it, it's so technical what you all are writing. You all have taken it from somewhere. It's not coming from your head, but you all don't reference it. Okay? And we know that you all have been given a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of courses. There's a lot of not even courses, like seminars and stuff on referencing that has been offered first year, second year, third year. You all do not attend it. Okay? So maybe it's a good start. Now let's look at it that way. Don't be intimidated by the fact that you haven't been reading or referencing so far. Maybe it's a good opportunity to start. Okay? I'm not looking for quantity, I'm looking for quality. Okay? I'm not looking for perfection, I'm looking for effort. Okay? I know who y'all are. I know what you'll do and don't do. So if I see that y'all are making the effort to do some reading and to reference it, okay? Because you cannot submit a POE without any referencing. You cannot submit a POE without providing justifications for what you are doing, okay? Without showing evidence of some reflection, okay? If you are going everyday country line and just pulling beds, weeding, putting gravel, putting top turf, this, that, and going home, sleeping, and coming the next day doing all that, that is not academic work, okay? You are meeting some of the requirements of your world experience, but not all of it, right? The main thing is you have to reflect on what you are doing. You have to go and read, and then go to work and even say, look, I actually read that, maybe this is a better way of doing it. you know, and maybe the people will get offended there, but it's their problem, right? Students will come back and they'll say, oh, the will experience was not nice, we just sat around, nobody told us what to do. That's your problem, okay? It happens everywhere in work, right? If you go, especially like volunteer work like this, because somebody there at Country Line has been given responsibility for these 3 students. It is not their like obligation, you know, maybe they're not bothered, right? You need to make that work happen, right? Even here at DU2 as a lecturer, I can get away with doing the bare minimum, right? But it's what I make of the opportunity. There are lecturers who are getting away with doing the bare minimum. There are lecturers who are excelling, right? Same when you go and do your will. You are being given the opportunity. Make it happen. Walk around with this document. Look at this table. I'm not saying you must do everything, right? But try, look for opportunities, right? You will see it happening. You will see it today. You're not maximizing your time. You guys are just hanging around. Make it happen. Think of ways. Think of, let's do something where we can do growth medium preparation. Let's do something where we can do cuttings. Let's do something that involves pests. Let's do something. You can go and tell them, look, I see that those guys are going there and they're working with roses and fruits and nuts. Can I be involved in that for the day? Go and make yourself a nuisance. Okay? Go make yourself a nuisance. Go and look, go and search, go and ask for work to be done. Say today I'm just sitting around, can I join that team? I see they're going there on the buggy somewhere. Okay? It is your obligation to try and do as much of all this so that, you see, we are giving you this to submit the POE, right? That's fine. But you look at it the other way. Look at it as, how much of this can I do to maximize my will experience? The more of this you do, the better your will experience is going to be. Okay? That's what you want to do. So this table here, look through it. Even if you want to put this table at the back of your POE and tick whatever you did, you can do it. I'm not asking you to include this, right? But if you want to do it, you can, right? It's just a guide, right? Just a guide. Try and do as much of this. Examples of activities you could include and discuss in your POE. I could put it the other way. Examples of activities you should be looking to do in your will. This is what you should be looking to do in your 4 months to 6 months, right? All those ladies, women, females that are at Devonport and the one guy, try and do these things. If you all are looking for how can we improve these urban gardens, well, there's a list of things I'm giving you, of things you could do, right? And remember, all of you have the opportunity. The DUT nursery is a facility that is available to you, okay? The lab, you all are still students. You all can come on weekends, you all can come after work, you all can take a day off, you all can talk to your employees, right? There's no excuse to say, I didn't have the facilities or anything to read. The internet is here at the university, right? The lab is there for you to use. The nursery is there for you to use. If you want to come and propagate plants, okay? I told you all, those of you at Sisonke and Devonport, okay? You all can come to the nursery. You all can propagate plants there and take it back. Okay? Really, this is an opportunity for you to become an adult, to take responsibility. That's why it says there in the top paragraph, encourages learners to reflect on their daily learning. Human beings reflect. That is what is going to separate you from now till you die. If you are a reflective human being, you will become a powerful human being. That's a difference between us and the rest of the people. People who reflect, people who have an inner conversation, about your life. Reflect on what you are doing daily, weekly, monthly, and change. That's how you improve. That's how you develop. That's how you grow. That's how you become a man. That's how you become a woman. People who don't reflect, they just go on day by day just doing what they are told. Like an animal. Animals don't reflect. That's what's different. We have an inner conversation about our lives. Have an inner conversation about what you are doing and where it's going to take you. Self-directed learning. The POE encourages learners to reflect, underline that word reflect, on their daily learning. Underline that word learning. And to develop self-directed learning and communication skills. Self-directed learning. Go onto the internet, Google that word. What is self-directed learning? I'm a person who does not need to be told what to do. I'm a self-directed learner. I can say, this is what I need to do next year. This is what I need to do now. This is what this course is. This is where I want to go in my life. This is what I direct my own learning. Okay? And here is an opportunity for you to also do that, to harness this experience, but to also direct. Do what they want you all to do. I mean, most of the time you're going to be told what you need to do in your will. But use that to also think deeply. Right? What's going on with your hands and your feet and your body, other things can go on in your brain. Okay? You can be here, but your brain can be thinking much differently. And communication skills. The POE is a document in communication. You are communicating to me what you are doing for the 4 months. I'm saying 4 months, that's the minimum, right? You all know that, right? You need to do 640 hours, right? If you work 8 hours a day for 5 days a week for 4 months, right, it can be done, 640 hours. But if you have a day off, a public holiday, maybe more. So once you finish your 640 hours, you are ready to submit your POE. But you can continue doing your 6 months. That is what we encourage you to do, okay? Once you've done your 640 hours, you've met the legal, let's use that word, legal requirement, you can then submit your POE, right? But we are encouraging you to complete the 6 months, okay? And many people get hired after doing their will, okay? So show enthusiasm, show initiative, show problem-solving ability, right? In fact, when you write in your CV, you must write, I have the ability to create problems. That's what we want. We want you to say, wait, you're doing this, but no. This is the way. Look for problems and look for the solutions. Okay? That's what we want to see. It may sound strange, right? But we look for people. I look to hire somebody who has the ability to see problems, to see the contradictions in what he's been doing, to say, look, we are doing that. It's called innovative thinking. And that's why the number one line you'll see in people's CVs and stuff, problem-solving ability, right? The ability to create questions is half the answer. This may all sound counterintuitive to you all and strange to you all, but that is what we're looking for in the world. All these people like Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, and this new guy who's created ChatGPT, Sam Altman, you know, these guys looked at situations that looked normal to everyone, and then they created problems, and then they found the solution to those problems. You know, and you can do that. Go to Sisonka, go to Devonport Gardens, and create problems and solve it. Create the problem and solve it. Then create another problem and solve it. Okay? Ask a question and find the answer. That is what we're teaching you all to do. Ask questions and then find the answer to the question. A question-driven approach to learning. Right. I've said a lot. I've said more than I needed to say. I am aware of ChatGPT, right? If you are not aware of it, become aware of it. Okay? But don't use it for wrong things. Anyone here knows ChatGPT? Put your hand up. Put your hand up. Put your hand up. Put your hand up. Why do you not know about ChatGPT? Huh? You can go there, ChatGPT, write me a POE for horticulture, and it will write it for you. Okay? Universities are aware of it. Professors, lecturers, everybody is aware of it. We are also using it. There's a way how to use it. Okay? But don't go there and abuse it and submit a POE that's written mostly by Chat GPT. Okay? You need to know about this. You need to use it also. If you're not using it, it's so powerful. How can you not use it? Huh? You can go there and say, write me a cover letter for a job as a horticulturist in Durban municipality. It'll write you the cover letter. It'll write you a cover letter that in your wildest imagination you could never write. You are just staring at it and it's just writing it. It's the latest in artificial intelligence. Right? And it must blow your mind when you use it, because it should. If it doesn't blow your mind, then your mind is, I don't know, cannot be blown by anything. It must blow your mind, because what this means, where the world is going now, is going in a different direction. Okay? It's predicted that in about 20 years, the artificial intelligence will be more intelligent than a human being. Okay? It cannot do mathematics quite well, but it can pass exams, right? It's passed already the USA medical exams, but it failed the Singapore matric. But it's learning, because it fails the exam and then a couple weeks later it passes it. Okay? There's also an art part to this. So this is artificial intelligence. Okay? So forget about plagiarism that you all have been doing. That's like prehistoric dinosaur age now. This here is 4IR plagiarism. Okay? You can ask it to write anything. You can ask it to write stories. You can ask it to write movie scripts. You can ask it to write anything. And then you can ask it to write me a cover letter for a job as a horticulturist in country line landscapes. And then you can say, after it writes the cover letter, then you can say, now include that I have a diploma in horticulture. And then include that. Also include that I'm a black female and the job is an affirmative action post. It'll integrate that into it. Yeah, go blow your mind. Go blow your mind and go and try ChatGPT out. Okay? But there is a lot of guidance on how to use it. You can use it wisely. For example, if you have to write a cover letter for the job, ask it to write the cover letter for you. And then use that as a guide, because it's the more knowledgeable other. If you've got a friend or a brother or a mother, or like me, like Tobile, if you come to me and say, Dr. Maisty, I'm applying for this job, can you assist me to write a cover letter? That's exactly what ChatGPT is going to do. It's going to write you. So it's like me assisting you, ChatGPT assisting you. It's the same thing, right? But now, what becomes important is how you use that. Do you plagiarize that letter? Or do you use it? Like if I assist you in writing a letter, do you use the letter? I said, here is a cover letter that I wrote for my job, right? You're not going to copy that. You're going to use it as a guide, okay? So all of us now are using this. It increases your productivity. It helps you, right? But inside you is the devil, right? And if you want to be lazy, you want to plagiarize, you want to crook, you can do it. It's up to you, okay? And the reason why I'm telling you this now is because it's exploding everywhere around the world. Students are using it to do assignments, right? And I'm telling you, it will do the assignment for you. I went to a conference 2 weeks ago. It was USA, Africa Partnership Universities, right? So there was a lot of stuff there. I said, okay, when I went back, I told this thing, write me in less, and you can say in less than 200 words or in 500 words. I said, US foreign policy towards Africa. It wrote an essay. That was beautiful. It made sense. Because what it has the entire internet up until 2021 stored in its memory. And it goes into that and it extracts. How it does it, I mean, I don't know the algorithms, but it writes a logical, coherent essay. Okay? People use it for programming stuff. If you write a program and there's some things missing in it, you can plug it into ChatGPT, it'll find the error, it'll correct it. Okay? So there's many ways of using it productively. Okay? But the university is aware of it, I'm aware of it. Please become aware of it. Please use it. Okay? But it's up to you whether you abuse it or cheat. Okay? Don't cheat. But you can use it as a guide. Okay? You can even ask it, questions like what is the state of forestry in South Africa, and it'll give you something. Okay? And that comes back to stuff like plagiarism, and cheating and stuff. Please avoid. Okay? Because you'll be submitting your POE through Turnitin, if you copy her, both of Turnitin will show that there's similarity between. So last year, 2 students failed because they copied each other. So avoid copying, avoid plagiarism, avoid all the stupid things that you should be avoiding. Okay? It's really easy to pass this module. Just write about what you did, put in a bit of why you did what you did, and follow the rubric, make it presentable, format everything, follow these instructions. That's all. All right. You went out for 20 minutes. Did you come back with a question? When I asked you to go read this document, what was your question? Yeah. That was your question.
I was going to ask what is going to, how that is going to affect our portfolio if we can use all that information.
Yeah. Okay. So really, what I'm telling you, these are guides, right? If you can include most, but not all, of what is required of you, you will fulfill the requirements. Okay? At least 75% of here. Because you may be doing some things that are not in here. Right? On reading your POE, you should clearly demonstrate that you have learnt practical competence in key appropriate horticultural techniques, namely propagation, growth, and cultivation. On reading your POE, you should demonstrate that you have learned to identify, propagate, and cultivate a range of high-quality ornamental, indigenous, and medicinal plants for use within the nursery, landscaping, business, and community sectors. On reading your POE, you should clearly demonstrate that you have learned correct horticultural practice, environmental sustainability, appropriate health and safety procedures, and management techniques applicable to the industry. That part there, that second one, right? That is the purpose of this module, right? If you go into the study guide, I'll upload the study guide. But I didn't want to put that there because you don't read anything. So what I went and did, I went and read everything for you all. And I put it here on 2 pages, right? Even if you ignore this table here, just this page alone. If your POE can satisfy the requirements here, if that can be your table, you all are doing it in your world. All of this. You all are doing it in those companies. Right? This is your table of contents, and this is the purpose of the module. The purpose is the module is for you to gain practical competence in key appropriate horticultural techniques. If that is not happening at your company, go and tell them, look here, You're supposed to give me practical competence in key appropriate horticulture techniques. You all are getting that in Country Line. Every day you all are doing that. Propagation growth. You're identifying, propagating and cultivating a range of high quality ornamental plants for use in the nursery, landscaping, business and community sectors. All of you all are doing that. You all are using correct horticultural practice. There is environmental sustainability in what you're doing. There is health and safety procedures in what you're doing. And there is management techniques, right? Part of it also is for you to read this and to look for it in your work. You all are doing it, but you all may not know you all are doing it. So when getting you to write it in your POE helps you to identify what you are doing. So keep this document with you and know that you are doing correct horticultural practice, that there is environmental sustainability in what you're doing. There is appropriate health and safety procedures and all that. It's there in what you are doing. Go and find it and write about it. Okay? Keep a journal of your daily activities, and then once you've got all that done, fit it into these categories. If you think you are not doing any of these things, start doing it. Or go and talk to your employer and say, I need to be doing these things. It is being done in the company. Why am I not doing it? It's a guide for you. It's a guide for you to improve your will experience by ensuring that you do all these things. Most of it. Any questions on the back? Mambo, any questions? You came back with a question.
My question was
On the two-column format. Okay. How many of you want to be left free to do two-column format or like this? Should we take out the two-column format as a must? Huh? Okay, it's out. I will remove it from the document that is on your Moodle page also. Okay? So it's up to you. If you want to do two-column. I actually am not a fan of two-column format. I've never used two-column format in my life. It was just what was always done before in these modules. Okay? So should we take two-column format out? Okay? Yeah. But please, when you submit it, make it presentable. I don't like to see when pictures are different sizes on the same page. You know, especially when there's like 4 pictures, you know, and they should be all the same. So easy to do in PowerPoint. Choose one size for your picture and then just make all of them the same size in PowerPoint. You know, like look at your page, you know, don't put one photo on a page, you know. If you can fit 4 or 6, it all depends on the presentation. That's why you need to read, you need to look at how other people present work. Okay? So we'll take out two-column formats. Next, any questions? Madam, in the back, any questions? Why not? No, it's not allowed. Give me a question. It means you know everything in life. Why is the sky blue? No. What is your name again? Huh? Surname? Zlamini. Huh? You're not here? When I was calling out names, you did not tell me that. How? Zlamini with the H. Zlamini and first name? Huh? Quenzile. Do you have a question? What is the time? Okay. Question? No, ask a question. Why are manholes round? When you're walking on the street, you see those manholes. Why are they round? Why are they not square? Why is the sky blue? Why is grass green? You should know why grass is green. Yes. Now ask me a question about the POE. You went outside, I told you come back with a question. What was your question? Are you asking questions when you are doing your will? Are you asking questions? Your supervisor, you're asking them questions. Huh? Good questions, deep questions. Huh? Have you got a question about anything we've spoken about today? About what is written here? Huh? When you are plant propagation. Yes. Sorry?
We are doing same propagation, same plant, maybe same thing. When we are writing down, each plant we do a propagation.
You see, try and avoid that. Okay? I don't want you to write this plant in a list. This don't make it so superficial. Okay? Broadly, you have a topic on plant propagation, right? Under that topic, you will talk about the plants you've done, right? But it's not going to be today I did this plant, tomorrow I did this plant, then it's not like that. That's not how you do your POE, okay? It's not a list. This is what I've been trying to tell you for the last 2 hours, okay? Your POE is not, I did this, I did this, I did this, I did this, I did this. Yeah. Consolidate it under one section, asexual and sexual plant propagation. Right? Talk about the plants you did in asexual propagation, talk about the plants. Maybe pull out 1 or 2 plants. Okay? Your POE is not a list of activities. That is the fundamental point I'm trying to get across to you today. You're not going to just say, I'm doing this, I did this, I did this. That is not a POE. It is not a list of your activities. Right? It's a look here. You will be assessed for content, formatting, presentation, interpretation, integrated discussion, engagement with literature. It is not today I went to the nursery and they asked me to propagate this plant and then I did that. That's not, you can write like that, but that is not the core of your POE. Okay? You're going to have different sections. If your POE is going to be 30 pages and you have about 8 sections, each section would be about 4 pages, plus minus. Okay? So discuss. Don't just tell me these are the plants that were given to you for sexual and asexual reproduction. Discuss it. Discuss what you did, why you did it that way. Do you understand? Yeah. Your POE is not a list. I don't want something that was written by someone in matric or grade 10. I want something that was written by a student in the 3rd year of horticulture. Okay? And if you haven't read any books up until this point in your life, then start reading. Okay? Kulu. Yes.
machine, then is it necessary to write the genus and the species and the common name like it is in the paper?
No, but you will write, today I was propagating Tradescantia spatisi. You've already written the genus and species name down. This is not a plant profile. This is a description. You are stating you propagated this plant. You were given this plant to propagate. This is how you went about doing it. You were doing it, you can describe the place you were doing it, you can describe how many plants, you can describe the activity, right? But in describing the activity that you're doing, bring in some extra justifications for why you are doing some of the things you're doing. If they gave you sand instead of potting mix, offer some insight into why perhaps they gave you sand as the media to propagate the plant. Offer some insight into maybe why they gave you the plant in the first place. Why is Tradescantia spatisi used? Why are you propagating that plant? Did it just come like an asteroid down there? It was given to you by a supervisor, and that supervisor chose it for some reason. Why are they choosing to use this plant, to use it on that landscaping property? Why are, go deeper, go backwards a little bit. You are there now. A lot of you will write about the here and now, what you are doing. But take a few steps backwards into how did it come about that you have these species. Let's go outside a little bit and take a walk around, and I will show you some examples of what I'm talking about. And then when the food will be back, is there any more questions? You asked a question. Yeah.
So, of the evidence pictures, can they be at any size?
Pardon?
Pictures, evidence pictures.
The pictures. Okay, so the idea is that a lot of what you'll be writing about, there will be some pictures to accompany it. It's not so much like evidence, I'm not a police. It's to enhance your presentation. So if you are talking about something, sometimes a picture says 1,000 words, what you are writing is enhanced by showing the picture. Okay? What you're talking about, size.
Yeah, size.
Well, again, it's your presentation. It's how you present that information. The picture is not going to take the whole page, but it's not going to be so small that I can't see what you're talking about. When you read magazines and stuff, and when you read other journal articles and textbooks, when they put figures and pictures and all that, how do they present it?
Maybe, like under the picture, should I write what I was doing? Like,
You must have a caption to your figure. So each photo will be figure 1, then figure 2, then figure 3, then figure 3, going through the whole POE, and it'll have a caption. And you'll be writing about it in the text. So I can relate what is in the text to the picture. The picture must just not be there and nothing about it. You see? You're not going to put a picture there if you don't refer to it in your text. See, again, all this goes back to reading. The more you read, the more you expose yourself to how a document is created and presented. The picture is there to supplement what is written in the text. The text refers to the picture. The picture must not take the whole page, but it must not be so small that it's pointless for it to be there. Again, presentation, style, formatting, creativity. And some students, their content is weak, but their presentation is so wonderful. It comes out. Some students do work like that. The quality of the photos. Any more questions?
are we allowed to submit a draft just for you to overlook and see that we're on the right track?
Yes, but I'm not going to read the entire thing. I can give you quick comments. Yeah. Through your next 4 to 6 months, you all are free to email me, to ask me questions, to show me stuff that you all are doing. I'm already seeing a lot of photos. I'm on the Sisonka Davenport WhatsApp group. I can see what you all are doing. Okay? All I want to see now is that put into writing. Okay? You all have the library, you all have the labs, you all have all the facilities as a DUT horticulture student available to you.